On Wall Street, it's called Turnaround Tuesday. Stocks rebounded today after yesterday's rout, regaining a portion of the sharp losses we saw in Monday's session. The reason is a familiar one: trade. The president today signaled that the U.S. and China could strike a deal when the time is right. That seemed to alleviate some of the concern among investors, for now at least, and it sends stocks higher today. The Dow gained about 207 points, closed at 25,532. The Nasdaq was up 87. The S&P added 22. Bob Pisani has more on this bounce back from the New York Stock Exchange.
The markets managed to stage an impressive comeback today, though it's still not really enough to make up for Monday's steep losses. President Donald Trump breathed new life back in the stocks after saying that talks with China have not collapsed. The dialogue's still been positive, and he's expecting a successful outcome in about 3 or 4 weeks as negotiations continue. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot for the markets to go on, but we did see a number of heavily oversold groups bounce back today. Semiconductor stocks like Nvidia and KLA-Tencor, the big industrials, Caterpillar, Boeing, Deere, energy names, and some of the large-cap Chinese tech companies like Alibaba and Baidu all bounced back. Crude oil prices also lent a hand to the rally, jumping more than 1%, settling over $64 a barrel as Saudi Arabia's energy minister reported a drone attack at oil pumping stations near Riyadh. The attacks were described as acts of terrorism. But don't be fooled, there's been a lot of damage done by these trade wars. The big industrials did rebound, but names like Boeing and Caterpillar, 3M, even Apple, they're still about 20% or even more off of their recent 52-week highs. Intel is not far from its lows that it hit back in December. Retail is still getting hammered on this exposure to China. It's not Amazon necessarily. More than 30% of apparel, 70% of footwear in the U.S. is imported from China. And companies that have private brands in particular tend to rely heavily on these Chinese imports. That's why you see companies that have private brands, Gap, American Eagle, L Brands, they're all down about 10% so far this month. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Bob Pisani at the New York Stock Exchange.